She stepped into the first-class cabin, dressed simply in a dark gray sweatshirt and matching sweatpants. But instead of a warm welcome, she was mocked, and then unthinkably told to leave. They had no idea that the woman they were so quick to dismiss, her billionaire husband, owned the airline. What came next stunned everyone on board. That morning, sunlight poured through the massive glass panes of Denver International Airport, casting a golden sheen on the busy terminal floor. Moving with an effortless grace through the flow of travelers was Karen Jasper. She was 34, confident, calm, and dressed in no-nonsense comfort. Her blonde hair was tucked neatly beneath a black cap, her athletic frame hugged by a soft gray sweatshirt and faded light gray sweatpants. Nothing flashy, no glitz, just ease. The only bit of sparkle, a modest silver bracelet that jingled faintly on her wrist, a sentimental piece that once belonged to her grandmother. To anyone watching, she probably looked like just another traveler who valued comfort over couture. Certainly not someone who was married to Alexander Jasper, the brilliant mind behind a billion-dollar tech empire, and the new owner of Summit Airlines. Checking the time on a simple wristwatch, Karen saw she had time to spare. The watch, old and elegant, was more meaningful than luxurious, another gift passed down from her family. She was heading to Boston. Flight 981. Her parents were celebrating their 40th anniversary. Alexander, ever the doting husband, had offered their private jet. But Karen, she'd declined. Sometimes she preferred the real world, the hum of ordinary life. It grounded her. "Just a black coffee, please," she said to the barista at a nearby cafe, digging into her pocket for a crumpled bill. Not a swipe of her platinum card. Not even Apple Pay. The barista smiled politely. "Traveling somewhere fun." "Boston. Family thing," she replied, tossing the change into the tip jar. "Well, enjoy the flight." With her coffee warming her hand, Karen strolled toward Gate A21. As she walked, her eyes danced over the scene. The elderly couple holding hands, toddlers clinging to backpacks, business folks tapping away at laptops. She adored moments like these. People watching reminded her where she came from, a quiet upbringing in small-town Colorado, before she met Alexander at a tech summit where she was speaking about environmental innovation. Life had changed, but Karen never let go of her roots. Now boarding first-class passengers for Summit Airlines Flight 981 to Boston, came the crisp voice over the PA system. Karen grabbed her backpack, a weathered no-name bag that had traveled with her for years, and stepped into the short line marked Priority. A man in an expensive blazer glanced her way, eyebrows twitching. The judgment in his eyes was obvious, but Karen had seen it all before, and it didn't faze her anymore. "Boarding pass, please?" asked the gate agent with that customer service smile. Karen handed over her phone. The scanner beeped. The agent paused, her smile faltering slightly as she glanced between the pass, first class, and Karen's casual outfit. "Thank you, Miss Jasper. Enjoy your flight." Karen gave a polite nod and headed down the jet bridge, unaware that this flight, it would spark a controversy that would shake Summit Airlines to its core. The first-class cabin gleamed with quiet opulence, wide leather seats in rich navy, sleek polished wood paneling, ambient lighting that whispered luxury. As Karen stepped in, a flight attendant named Diane Phillips looked up, her polished smile momentarily freezing. "Good morning," Karen offered, warm and genuine. Her eyes dropped to her seat, 2A. Window. Perfect. Diane's sharply drawn eyebrows raised ever so slightly. "First class is to your left," she said, her tone holding something. "Uncertainty, maybe?" "I know, thank you," Karen replied, unbothered, walking toward her seat as Diane's eyes subtly followed. In the plush cabin, other passengers fit the mold. Men in tailored suits, a woman in a silk dress, even a celebrity chef Karen had seen on Food Network. She placed her backpack in the overhead bin, then settled into her seat, pulling out an old paperback instead of a tablet or fancy noise-canceling headphones. Then came him, Richard, another flight attendant. Younger, clean-cut. His voice was professional but clipped. "Excuse me, ma'am. May I see your boarding pass? Karen looked up, calmly meeting his eyes. Of course, she said, showing him the digital pass on her phone again. He studied it longer than necessary, lips pressed into a thin line. His eyes flicked from the screen to her hoodie. One moment, please. Karen watched as he walked over to Diane and another crew member. Their heads huddled. Eyes darted toward her. From the corner of her eye, Karen saw a businessman pretending not to eavesdrop, but doing a poor job of hiding his interest. She took a steadying breath. Oh, she knew this look, this vibe, this assumption. Diane returned, but this time she wasn't alone. With her stood Carolyn, the lead flight attendant. The badge on her blazer announced her rank. Ma'am, Carolyn began, her voice calm but clipped. We seem to be having a bit of confusion with your boarding pass. Karen slowly closed her book. There's no confusion. I'm seated in 2A. Carolyn's polite smile became strained. Sometimes our system glitches. This is the first-class cabin, and you don't believe I belong here. Karen finished for her, her tone even, her expression unshaken. Carolyn hesitated. Not at all. We just need to confirm some details. You've confirmed my pass. Twice. Murmurs rippled through the cabin. Ace turned. Perhaps you were upgraded by accident. Diane offered, her voice hopeful yet doubtful. Or maybe, Karen countered, I purchased this seat. Am I dressed incorrectly for first class? Carolyn faltered. There's no official dress code, but our passengers usually reflect the premium nature of the experience. Karen's voice was steady. So, it's not the ticket. It's how I look. Just then, the older man from across the aisle cleared his throat. I've flown in sweatpants plenty of times. No one's ever questioned me. Carolyn flushed. Sir, this is between our staff and the passenger. It shouldn't be happening at all, he said, returning to his paper. Tension thickened the air. We have a full flight today, Carolyn said, trying to redirect, and need to ensure all passengers are seated correctly. Our system shows this seat belongs to an O. Jasper. That's me, Karen replied. Karen. Jasper. Do you have identification? Richard asked, the words loaded with suspicion. Karen narrowed her eyes. You've never asked anyone else here to show ID. Why me? It's standard when discrepancies occur, Carolyn said quickly. What discrepancy? Karen's voice was rising, not in volume but in power. That I'm not wearing designer heels and pearls. A woman nearby whispered loudly. If she bought the seat, what's the problem? If you don't verify your identity, Carolyn pressed, we'll need to reassign you to economy. Karen sat taller. I can. But I won't. Not because I can't, but because I shouldn't have to. Not when no one else is being asked to. If you are who you say you are, Richard added with a tight smile, this will be over quickly. No, Karen said, her tone cutting. This isn't about protocol. It's about bias. If I walked in here wearing Prada, you'd be pouring champagne by now. Carolyn's fake smile.